We are going to tackle about socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers. But first, let us know what socio-emotional development means. So, socio or social refers to the study of the behaviors of people, including the way they interact with one another or their family. So, it is said that socializing or interacting with other people, especially our family or our parents, can deeply influence the emotional development of an infant and a toddler. It is also said that socializing can influence a child's emotional development either positively or negatively depending on the environment the child is in. Now, let us go to the next slide, which is a quotation given to us by Bob Greene. Here, it is said that when you're drawing up your list of life's miracle, you might place near the top the first moment your baby smiles at you. Today, she looked right at me and she smiled, her toothless mouth open, and she scrunched her face up, and it really was a grind. The sleepless nights, the worries, the crying, all of a sudden it was all worth it. She is no longer just something we are nursing and carrying along somewhere inside. Part of her knows what's going on, and that part of her is telling us she's with us. So, we all know that carrying a child inside a woman's womb for 9 months is really hard. But when when a woman finally gave birth to her child, she might place it at the very top of the most positive thing that ever happened to her, because although it is very hard, the fact that she have given birth is really something to be proud of. And all of the anxieties and all of the pain that the baby caused will all fade away, because conceiving a child and giving birth to a child is all worth it at the end. Next is introduction. Socio-emotional development has something to do with the development of a person's ability to master one's emotions and the ability to relate to others. It necessarily includes temperament, attachment, and social skills. So it is stating that for a child to master one's emotion, they have to socialize and interact with others so they know how to react to different situations emotionally. Because through interactions, a child can experience numerous scenarios. They are faced with difficulties, happiness, and remorse. And socio-emotional development includes the three most important components, which is the temperament, attachment, and social skills. So temperament has something to do with what makes a person different from one another. And later on we will tackle on about that. Attachment, from the word itself, attach, means these are the people you are really attached to, or who are the people you are attached to growing up. And social skills, because we all know that we need social skills in order for us to socialize and further develop our emotions. Next is, and now let's have a little activity and get our book and read the poem Child Learn What They Live by Dorothy Lowe Nault. But before you read the poem, or are you are reading the poem, let us watch this short clip.
Looks like rain again today. Dark clouds gather, fill the sky. just know how to say.
I don't think something is safe back there.
Now that we are done with the small activity, now let's proceed to the formative years. Much has been said about the importance of the first 3 years in human development. They are so-called the formative years. That is why parents and other caregivers at this stage of human development plays a significant role in the development of infants and toddlers. So, like as the poem Child Learn What They Live expresses, the kind of home and parents a child have can have an impact in a child's quality of development. Diba? As we read the poem, it is showing us different environments in which a child is growing up to. If a child lives with fear, they learn to apprehend. If a child lives with jealousy, they learn to feel envy. These are the negative things that a child can adopt if they are living in a environment or their parents are only showing them the negative things in life. But as the poem said, if a child lives with acceptance, they learn to love. And if a child lives with approval, they learn to like themselves. And if the child is being raised in a positive and loving, caring environment, they learn to also appreciate all the people and the things around them and learn to love and appreciate them also. So we can all say that the formative years or the first 3 years of a human development is really important because this is where the molding stage or this is where we first mold how the children will grow up in their latter years or when they grow up. Now that we're done with the formative years, let's now proceed to one of the most important elements in a child's emotional development, which is the attachment. The social phenomenon of attachment. For healthy social emotional development, the infants need to establish an enduring emotional bond characterized by a tendency to seek and maintain closeness to a specific figure, particularly during stressful situations. So, in the attachment, this is where a baby, a toddler, or a child tries to establish an emotional connection with an older person or their parents or caregiver, because through establishing an emotional bond, they are now having a figure to seek and maintain closeness to. Next is John Bowley. Was February 27, 1907 to September 2, 1990. Was a British psychologist and psychoanalyst who believed that early childhood attachment played a critical role in later development and mental functioning. His work, along with the work of psychologist Mary Ainsworth, contribute to the development of attachment theory. So, John Bowley is the proponent or the developer of the attachment theory. He is also known for being the originator of the attachment theory, researching child development, influencing modern-day psychology, education, and child care and parenting, and he also is known as the father of the attachment theory. But what really is attachment theory? So, attachment theory boldly believes that children are born with a biological programmed tendency to seek and remain close to attachment figures. For example, our parents or our caregivers. This provides nurturing and comfort, but it also aids in the child's survival. Sticking close to a caregiver ensures that the child's needs are met and that he or she is protected from danger in the environment. And the beginnings of attachment occurs with the first 6 months of a baby's life, with a variety of built-in signals that baby used to keep her caregiver or parents engaged. So it is stated here that a child are born with biological program tendency to seek and remain close to attachment figures. That is because as a baby, they can provide for themselves. So they are relying to a person that is capable of doing things for them to survive. Like for example, sticking close to their mother by using their variety of built-in signals such as crying and laughing. They are able to communicate and tell us what they need. Like for example, if they suck their thumb, that that means that they wants to be fed. That if they raise both their hands and crying towards you, that means they want you to carry them. And these babies or toddlers or infants do this to their parents to ensure their survivability. Next is the key to a good start in the social development of the baby is a lot of responsive interaction with the baby. Diba, as I've said, so responsive interaction, overview responsiveness is an approach to conversation and play that is meant to help promote positive interaction between adults and children. Adults join to play and follow the children's lead while promoting turn-taking in conversation and play. So it is said is that the key to a good start of social development of a baby is a lot of responsive interaction. So a mother or the caregiver and a child should have responsive interactions, like for example playing together, having conversation with one another can really help develop a child's social interaction with other people. Next is other relevant and interesting research finding. So now, what is absolutely central to baby's emotional well-being is not so much feeding, but the consistent involvement of caregivers. So a caregiver or the parents' physical interaction with the baby is much more important than the act of feeding it, because through interaction the baby is learning that you are there for them, if in terms of if they need something or not. And the children who have a good attachment relationship as infants make better adjustment in a number of areas in future life. So if a child has good attachment relationship back when they were a baby or an infant, it is said that it will help them a lot in adjusting in the future life, because if they have a good attachment relationship as an infant, they can apply that when they grow up with other people as well, that they have nothing to fear in getting involved with others because they know that it is normal to be attached and interact with other people, and they would not be afraid to interact with others. And infants attached to more than one caregiver, and they are developing emotional relationships with multiple caregivers at once. So if you can observe that some children are, or toddlers or infants are more attached to their lolas or lolos or titas or titos, that is because a child or an infant can have one or more people to be attached to, because they are able to interact and know that other people are there for them in order for them to survive. Next is, even when children are in a childcare more than 30 hours per week, the family contributes more to child's social and cognitive well-being. It is said there that even though we have yayas, it is more important for the parents themselves to interact with their and socialize with their child, because it helps more in the social and cognitive well-being of the child. And parents and caregivers help their children regulate their emotion by working with them and by serving as their model. Diba? If a child is crying, a mother's duty is to help the child understand what she is what she did wrong, in order for the child to stop crying. And we have to do that to regulate their emotions and to tell them that yes, you have done something, but it also can be fixed, and we can show them the right way on how to cope up and act. So if as they are growing up, they will learn what is right and wrong. And also, the key to a good start in a social development of the baby is a lot of responsive interaction with the baby. So as we have tackled earlier, that responsive interaction is really important because you are exchanging converse with the baby, and by that they are learning to talk with other people, they are learning to socialize, they are learning to mingle with other people, not only with their parents but also other people around them, just by really talking and playing with the baby through responsive interactions, like for example playing tag, playing playing with the baby itself. Next is another factor to a baby's socio-emotional development, which is the temperament. Another factor related to the infant's socio-emotional development is temperament. Temperament is defined as a word that captures the way that people differ even at birth in such things as their emotional reactions, activity level, attention span, persistence, and ability to regulate their emotions. So, as I said in the introduction, these are the things that makes us different from one another. These are the characteristics that sets us apart to distinguish which is who. And every baby expresses personality traits we call temperament. How a child responds emotionally to objects, events, and people in a reflection of his individual temperament. So, as we go to the different temperaments that a child possesses, let me first ask you to watch this.
light of the moon, the little egg lay on a One Sunday morning, the warm sun came on, and pop! Out of the egg, tiny and very hungry elephant. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate one apple, but still. On Tuesday, he ate 2 pears, still. On Wednesday, he ate 3 plums, but still. On Thursday, he ate 4 strawberries, but still. On Friday, he ate 5 oranges, but still. On Saturday, he ate 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night, he had his stomachache. The next day was Sunday. The caterpillar went ice cream leaf. The next day was Sunday. The caterpillar ate long ice cream leaf, and after that, he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a house called the cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and a beautiful butterfly.
So now that we're done watching the 2 different clips, you can see there that on the first clip, the kids are happily playing outside and happily running around and playing tag, while on the other clip, although the child is being active, he is only actively reading and sitting on his bed. That is because children have different activity level. Some babies are placid or inactive, other babies trash about a lot, and as toddlers are always on the move. So it is being said there that, as we can see in the 2 previous videos, the first video is showing the kids being active through running and playing tag, while on the second clip, the child is being active only by reading his book inside his room. And that is because children have different activity levels. Some prefer to be running outside, and some prefer only reading inside their house or room. Now, let's look at these pictures. So as you can see, the babies are portraying different facial expressions, or they are expressing how they feel. One baby is looking angry straight at the camera, maybe because he is irritated, or maybe someone behind the camera is getting into the baby's nerves. And also, the second picture is showing that a baby is happily smiling at the camera, maybe because someone is dancing silly behind the camera or something else. And that is because babies have different mood. Some babies are very smiley and cheerful, some other have a low-key mood and look more solemn and unhappy. So, if you can observe, if you played peekaboo with a baby, sometimes they react happily, but sometimes their face is just there, placid. It's not making any emotions because different babies have different moods. Some are bubbly, some are very happy, but some are very, what do you call this? Very low key, or they are just there. is a child threshold for distress. Some babies are very sensitive, other babies are more comfortably wait when they need a feeding or some attention. So if you can observe in a baby, some of them are very agile and some babies are demanding to be fed. They either cry or shout to get the attention of their mother or their parents to feed them, but or to get their attention. But some babies are very patient. They wait until their parents feed them or until their parents give them their attention. Next is rhythmicity of children. Some babies get hungry or sleepy on a fairly regular and predictable basis. Other babies sleep at varying times, urinate or have bowel movements, and get hungry at unpredictable and different times. They are hard to put into schedule. So some babies are have time to follow. Like for example, one of the babies I have taken care of, right after he woke up, he needs to do potty. He needs to pee, he needs to poop, and then after that, we play a little and we eat. Then we play again and then we eat. Then he sleeps. And then he go home and then the next morning we'll do that again. That is a daily routine I do with the baby, but other babies have different rhythmicity in their system. Like for example, today the baby will first eat breakfast then play. But some babies need to eat first then play. So they have different rhythmicity of a child. Next to rhythmicity of a child, let's watch a video. Ay.
No. No mouth. No.
Rylan, no.
So as we can see as we saw on the video that different babies or toddlers respond to their parents saying no in different ways. Like for example, the first baby made an angry face. The second baby just giggled and laughed while his mother is saying no. The third baby cried, and the fourth baby fought with his parents and demanded that he continues what he is doing. That is because each baby has different intensity of response. Other babies act cranky or fret just a little. Still others cry while terrific intensity or howl with despair. Diba? As you can see that some babies reacted different. So the video presented that the babies reacted differently to their parents saying no. That is because they have different ways on coping up with their parents saying no. Other babies cry hard, other babies just giggled, other babies just frown, and other babies wants to keep going on what the parents is saying no to them and demand that they want to keep doing that. Next is, di ba? After our first period is, so our building is in the elementary building, right? So before we proceed to our first subject, we're able to mingle and interact with different children. And as I have observed, first I talked to one of the childrens and asked her name, said hello, and the child responded to me positively. He said her name, that she is her name. She also said hello before leaving with her mother. But on the other day, on the next day, I asked another child. I said hi on a very low tone, and I also asked for his name. But unlike the first child, he the second child didn't respond to me and act shyly and walked away. That is because they have a babies have different approach to new situations. Other infants are very cautious, while other infants approach new person, new activity with zest and enjoyment. So as I have said earlier, the first child that I talked to before the first period, she happily responded to me. She didn't care whether I am a stranger or not. She wasn't afraid to interact with me, while the second child really is shy when it comes to meeting new people, because that is normal, because babies have different approach to new situations. Children, infants, and toddlers have different ways in coping up with different situations. Like for example, being in a new set of environment. Like for example, new set of friends. Some people are really bubbly that they want to hang out as soon as possible with their new set of friends. But some people are the type of person to observe first and then make friends later, because they have different ways in approaching new situations. Next is, let's watch this another clip. So as we saw on the video, that the baby, although he is, so we know that if a baby is getting a shot or injected, their response to it is they will cry because they will feel the pain. But in that baby's case, the baby didn't even feel the needle because of his level of distraction. Some children can concentrate on a toy regardless of surrounding bustle or noise. Others are easily distracted. So, in the case of the baby, or the baby presented, the baby is easily distracted because he didn't even feel the needle piercing through his knees, and Some babies are not like that. For example, some babies are really concentrated on, for example, a toy, and even if you put a bottle of milk in front of them, if they're concentrating towards the toy, they will not respond to the milk except continue playing with the toy, because children have distraction level of or they respond to distraction differently. Some children are gets easily distracted while others does not. So going back to those children that I have mentioned earlier. 'Di ba I have said that on the children that I talked to before the first period. So the first is the first is she responded to me quickly and with no hesitations on my question, that on when I said hi and I asked her name and talked to her for a few minutes before they leave. And then the second child is hesitant and shy and didn't even respond to me trying to converse to him. That is because they have different adaptability. Some children react to strange or different situations with distress but recover rapidly. Others adjust to new situations with difficulty or after a very long time. So another example is me. 'Di ba? I stopped and then I re-enter college second sem first year. So I am new to all of you. So I can say that I am that child who has difficulty in adjusting, but after a long time I adjust I also adjusted. So at first I only focus on observing your your behaviors, like for example, who is the most noisy, who is the most talkative, who is the most calm, who is the one who approach other people first. And right after that I started to warm up because I have I have difficulty in adapting to different scenarios or situations, while some people that I know that for example, a child is put into another section, and right after that he will try to make new friends, he will try to converse with his classmate because he can easily adapt to new situations. So next is in connection with different children or toddlers or infants having different level of distractions. They also have children's attention span. Some children have a long attention span, other filled from one activity to another. So we have that niece or sister or small child in our house that gets easily distracted, right? Like for example, if you gave him a toy and then you open the TV, some child tends to leave the toy behind and then watch the TV. That is because the child's attention span to one particular object or thing or scenario is very short, or and other children have very very long attention span. Like for example, if you give a child a Rubik's cube, he will not stop until he finish that Rubik's cube because that child has a longer attention span. So, based on these temperament traits, psychiatrists Alexander Thomas and Stella Chess studied babies' temperaments and clustered temperaments into three basic types. These are the easy child, easily read easily, readily establish regular routines, generally cheerful, and adapts readily to new experiences. These are the children who can adapt to different scenarios or situations easily, while and they can easily adapt to different things. The second is the difficult child, irregular in daily routines, so slow to accept new experience and tends to react negatively and intensely to new things. So I can say that I fall on the difficult child because I have I have difficulty in accepting my new environment, in coping up with things in different situations. And the third is the slow to warm up child. Shows mild low-key reactions to environment, changes negative in mood and adjust slowly to new experience. So this is the combination of the first two child. Although although this kind of child is slow to warm up, they will eventually warm up to new environments or new people that is surrounding him or her.